First of all, thank you very much for all coming to the webinar today. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about an offer that we're making from the Training Hub about the GP Ready programme for our first contact practitioners. We're going to go through some introductions of who will be representing us today, and also what the aims of the GP Ready programme is for the FCPs, and give you a bit of an overview of what that programme actually is, and what I'm actually aiming to keep within the programme, what the proposed programme content will be, although that is very much going to be a sort of work in progress. There'll also be an opportunity at the end for some questions and answers, which hopefully we'll be able to, as a team, answer for you. So my name is Judith Dawson. I know some of you already. I'm going to be the clinical educator on the First Contact Practitioner programme. I'm a physiotherapist by background. I work in a musculoskeletal service. I am a first contact practitioner, and I currently work in Broughton PCN in Salford. Sam Howard is the clinical lead for this programme, and Rob Harris, who we've already met, is the project administrator, and we have our generic email if anybody wants to email us after today. These are the programme aims for our FCPs. We're wanting the programme to enable FCPs to develop evidence of their knowledge and skills for the in-practice stage 2 of the roadmap portfolio, and I want them to be able to show GP readiness. We want to enhance their knowledge and individual skills of consultation, shared decision making, and management of certainty and complexity in general practice. And we want to provide peer support and build a network of FCPs across Greater Manchester to share knowledge and best practice. And the aim for the practices and PCNs is that we're going to support you by offering additional FCP mentoring, peer support and tutorial learning alongside developing leadership skills. We want to reduce the supervisor time pressures for the in-practice accredited supervisor, and hopefully deliver HE accredited supervision training that develops your local supervision workforce. The programme is going to be a hop-on, hop-off programme. There'll be core topics which will be delivered over approximately 12 sessions, but it will be reactive to the needs of the cohort. And it will support HE roadmap supervision, FCP accreditation, and those that are already accredited will be able to jump onto the programme for helping them retain their accreditation going forward. These sessions will be regular. We'll deliver them remotely, so it means minimum time away from practice, and the likelihood is there will be a morning session. We will have the opportunity to have specialist guest speakers and tutors delivering on the programme as well. We're going to give our learners access to several resources. There'll be continuing Greater Manchester Training Hub support and resources following completion of the programme, so they'll be able to remain with us for a long period of time. We'll be able to provide peer support and networking alongside multi-professional learning, and we'll facilitate that at Greater Manchester Training Hub level. And we'll provide a platform for sharing resources, which will include local clinical first contact practitioner pathways, best practice guidelines, and any weekly class material that we develop through the programme. So who's going to be eligible to apply? So it's essential that they are a first contact practitioner currently working in Greater Manchester or recently appointed to a Greater Manchester FCP post in primary care. And these FCPs will now have to evidence that they fulfil stage 1 portfolio requirements of the relevant professions roadmap. So that will include that it will have a minimum BSc or MSc pre-reg in an ARS-funded AHP profession. Their CV will include all the clinical posts that evidence they've got a minimum of 3 years postgraduate clinical experience in their core speciality, and they will have evidence of prior learning or postgraduate certification that evidences they have that stage 1 level of qualification. They will also need to have done the 8 modules on the e-learning for health that's stipulated in the roadmaps, and they would require a supporting reference from you as an employer. It's also desirable if they can have recognised an in-practice HEE supervisor, or if they haven't got an in-practice HEE supervisor, maybe access an alternate who would then meet the criteria and want to be trained as a HEE supervisor, which will then be delivered to them from the Greater Manchester Training Hub. So this is an overview of what the programme content will include. There will be an induction session, and the induction will be all introducing them to the Training Hub and what the programme will look like. We'll talk through what the roadmaps, documentation and supervision requirements will be. They'll be required to do a baseline capability of competency based upon their roadmap. And from that, they will go away and with their in-practice supervisor, develops a learning needs analysis and a personal development plan that they can use to help develop the actual content of the programme. There'll be sessions which will help them understand primary care, what is a PCN, what are clinical directors, practice managers, and what are the other clinical roles. There'll be sessions on how to educate the primary care team, maybe promoting an FCP role, or maybe teaching on a particular clinical topic that they feel would broaden the knowledge and skills of the wider workforce. We'll also be doing sessions on making every contact count, understanding population needs, local services and public health. We'll be working through case-based discussions and reflective learning logs, so bringing real life situations to the group and learning from each other how we maybe would have handled a case ourselves. We're also going to use opportunities with other organisations and providers to deliver on QI methodology, and probably expect our FCPs to use some sort of QI project within their practice to actually develop and promote change. We'll also include some well-being and resilience, because these are new roles within primary care. They may feel professionally isolated, and we want to build new skills to help them cope with that. And we'll also be developing leadership skills within the primary care. And it is expected that on completion of this course, they will go on to do a roadmap supervisor training course so that they will then become supervisors of the future. We're also going to give our learners access to content from other GP Ready programs. It's been recognised that our clinicians are really already very, very skilled in their core speciality, but they need to make those skills transferable to primary care. So across the other programs, we're going to be able to access items such as consultation skills in primary care, risk management, safety netting, looking at when to investigate in primary care, when it's better to refer on. And if you are going to refer on, what you should do, what you should be saying to the patient, what are the timelines, etc. So what are the benefits for FCPs with this programme? It's going to provide educational support, which will enable GP readiness. It's going to supplement the clinical and practical experience gained within practice. It's going to provide educational support for clinicians new to primary care, whilst recognising that they've got a wealth of secondary or community care knowledge and skill. It's going to provide opportunities to work in innovative ways, to share best practice, knowledge and skills, and help learn from and develop the skills of the wider workforce. We're going to be offering peer-to-peer support networks. We're going to provide educational mentorship, and we're going to support them with the stage 2 of the roadmap. And each FCP will complete a pre-course survey. This will inform the delivery and contents of the programme, and it will determine each clinician's confidence and capability, and it'll match to their profession's roadmap. And we'll ask them to repeat these surveys throughout the programme to evaluate how the programme is going and to continue to design it as it moves forward. So what are the benefits for your practice and your PCN? So first of all, the training will be fully funded. There'll be regular sessions. There'll be timetable to allow for advanced resource planning. The FCPs are going to be networking and sharing best practice across Greater Manchester to enhance your PCN. They're going to learn about quality improvement and audit. They're going to develop leadership and clinical supervision skills. It's going to allow you to offer an attractive recruitment and retention first contact practitioner learning package. And it's going to develop the roles of the first contact practitioner to meet the needs of the practice or the PCN. We've already set up some peer support groups on Facebook for those clinicians working in these fields across Greater Manchester. We're not aware of many occupational therapists, podiatrists and dietitians currently in Greater Manchester, but we have had some engagement, certainly from the physiotherapists, and we know there's a few paramedics that we would like to get involved in certainly attending this programme. So really what we want you to do now is to promote this programme within your PCN and for your FCPs. And if you've not already expressed interest in actually doing that, sign up to us. And we're happy to answer any questions about what we're going to offer.
Hi, sorry, just click all the buttons to come on camera. I'm just asking about, so the course I know in its entirety is free to access. In terms of them accessing the HEE supervisor, whilst they're on the course, does that attract a unit cost, or does that come as part and parcel of the course access?
That is something that we've yet to quite establish. So it is something that's sitting with HE at the moment. Me and Sam actually, I've actually sent an email about that today to HE. Across Greater Manchester, I am aware there's actually already quite a lot of supervisors. It's just whether they are in Salford. That's if in your particular case.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. And obviously I'm going to try and encourage as many kind of GP trainers that we've got, or other trainers. I know Liz is obviously a supervisor as well, but to come forward. Do you know what I know you haven't sorted the funding, do you know what the lead-in time is if we're doing recruitment to the roles, or we've got people interested to allocate a supervisor?
Well, we're hoping to start the programme in September, and we're hoping to offer a supervisor course prior to that, so that anybody coming onto the programme will have a supervisor lined up very, very sort of in a timely manner, really.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, thank you. That's helpful.
Of those people that are on the call now, one of the things that we've struggled to is identify all the FCP people out there. We know that there's a lot of physiotherapists, and we know there's a few paramedics. But within the group, has anybody got OTs, podiatrists and dietitians that we can communicate with? Because it has been quite hard contacting those people.
I'm not aware of any, sorry, it's Sue again, I'm not aware of any OTs, podiatrists or dietitians as yet in Salford. I know there's potentially some innovation bid monies that's been allocated or been sought for, which may include some FCP dietitians, and in which case we'll make sure we plug them in. So we've almost tried to cover all bases really with the collaborative working to make sure that we look at them getting ready for the course. And then we've got a round of recruitment. I think there are some agents that I know that have got paramedics or are about to take on paramedics from other kind of private organisations. So what I'll do is obviously highlight to them that the course is available, you know, and put them in contact.
So Heather's popped in a chat. They've not got dietitians or podiatrists, but they have paramedics.
And at the moment, I've obviously designed questionnaires based on the roadmaps for the physiotherapists and the paramedics, but the other roadmaps haven't yet come out, and what they will require for that is yet to be established, which is why the programme will evolve as people come on board.
Yeah, the comment that they've got is that physios are engaged through the trust, so I'm not sure how they're getting with it, and so are the ones.
Yeah, I will communicate with Tameside and Glossop because I actually know the consultant physiotherapist there, and I have actually promoted the programme to him. It's just whether they're considering other alternate trainings, isn't it, really? From your experiences, are a lot of you going to be struggling with the supervision of the FCPs that have come into practice? Or if they've been provided by external providers, is the supervision going to be coming from within those organisations?
So the third-party provider, they're actually supervised separately. They've got their own supervisor, depending on how many roles we've got in each network. The supervisor role might not be funded under ARS, and even if it's funded, it's to the certain limit that we can get under the ARS funding.
Yeah.
Again, but I think that's just for their role as as physios rather than being on the supervisory thing. But definitely one of the physio who works in the PCN is also supervising other physios based in the same PCN. That's how they've done it. So we've got 4 PCNs. Each PCN has got their own physios. And then one of the physio who's working in that PCN is actually supervising them as well. We've only got one paramedic for now, and he's being supervised by the clinical director of the PCN. And one of the practices has actually taken sort of responsibility for him.
Yeah.
So his training.
Yeah. So our programme would be to help support him as well in that supervision, so that he can, it takes more pressure off the CD to actually deliver that supervision. And it would be very helpful to the group if there's people from all the different professions attending, because we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, we can certainly share that information because again, in that PCN, only one practice has taken the responsibility for it, and we've only got one paramedic. It's being shared between 3 practices. None of the other PCNs actually shown any interest in getting more paramedics, and they do appreciate having physios, but no one has shown interest in OTs or dietitians or any other role.
Hi, Sam, did you want to say something?
Well, thanks, Judith. Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it, listening to everyone's comments around where these guys fit in general practice, and it's almost we all kind of want them here and passionate about them being in primary care, but equally we can't really see where they fit sometimes too. So it's that leap of faith, isn't it? You know, the previous colleague who just mentioned that nobody really has expressed an interest in certain parts of the FCP. Eclectic mix that it is in some of the podiatrists and the dietitians, but it's I think it could be. Would you think, Judith, that the GP Ready programme could actually act as a really good maybe induction to primary care that could help embed these new people, and that could be how we could see that at network level, that when you recruit the ARS roles, that actually this seamless journey, if they complete the GP Ready programme, would actually have a dual purpose of induction and support.
Absolutely, yeah, developing them right from the start so that they understand the whole wider primary care system, I think is important, and I think that will ultimately keep people in primary care. One of the issues has been retention, I think, across Greater Manchester, people feeling a little bit isolated. I think partly that's been unfortunate because it's been happening because people have been having to work remotely. But now hopefully we're moving more towards face-to-face contacts, and that will improve that sort of pathway for people.
Yeah, we're in this kind of it's not really a paradox that is primary care, but it is an unusual and unique situation that the opportunity that is within general practice is for that professional development, and autonomous practice equally opens you up as a clinician to feeling isolated, and that need for that additional support, which you don't tend to need that, do you, when you're in the trust or when you're working as part of a larger team, even if you're in your own rooms but you're just down the corridor from your colleagues who've completed the same training as you have. Whereas primary care, it's that little bit of a different entity, isn't it? So knowing that there's that network of other people that could be taking part in some kind of induction and support, and the standardised support structure out there, I think would be equally beneficial, not just for the people on these new colleagues coming into primary care, but equally for the employers too, to know that there's that additional support to help prepare us for primary care. Because I was born and bred in primary care, so to speak. I only did my training to be part of the primary care team. So other disciplines who have followed a more traditional path of secondary care training, it's a bit of a culture shock when you come across. It's a massive steep learning curve.
Carol, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so it's just on the back of a comment earlier on about FCPs who are employed through the trust but are working in primary care in that way, and whether they've got a training scheme that they're looking at in terms of the trust themselves doing something with their staff. I suppose for me, it's how do we link together to make sure that they've got access to the GP Ready bit of what we're doing, because that might be missing in something the trust puts together between us and those trusts that are employing on behalf of the PCNs, to make sure that they have access to our offer as well as anything they might do internally, just to support that new employee within the primary care environment. Don't know the answer. I guess it's just throwing it out there to think about, because I think the GP Ready part of it is going to be valuable to anybody, isn't it, working in general practice.
Okay, so has anybody else got any questions or need any more information? You can contact us at the Training Hub. I'm obviously available as well if you want to contact me on an individual basis through if you email the training hub, and then they'll forward me anything from you at that point. But thank you very much for attending.